Hello fish fools, Jeff here. So what's on the itinerary for my aquarium hobby? Well, I have a lot of things in the pipeline. As you may or may not know, I just moved recently and I am no longer bound by some of the limitations that I had when I was living in my apartment. So then the biggest tank I felt I could have was a 30-gallon, and now I can get bigger tanks. Like this is a 40-gallon, this is a replacement for the 30-gallon. And I did just set up this other 40-gallon, so we'll be gradually adding livestock to this tank. And I have a 84-gallon 6-foot tank that I ordered from my local fish store. They should be receiving that next weekend, and I expect I'll be able to take it home in the middle of next week. So I'll be setting that up, and that's something I've been waiting for years to do. And there's lots of other things I've had ideas that I've been waiting years to do. And now I can finally start making attempts to do those. Like one of the things I'm going to try to do is breed some egg layers. And coincidentally, as I was going to start preparing to do that, I had my pygmy corridors in my 10-gallon guppy on the hybrid tank laid eggs, and they just hatched, if you just saw my last video. So that's one of the things on the itinerary. I'm going to be attempting to raise pygmy corridor fry. So that'll be my first attempt there, and then I'm going to try to raise some other corridors. I'm thinking maybe some stir-by corridors. So I'll be getting some new fish. I have a quarantine tank set up, so expect I'll be getting some fish for that, because I'll be stocking these tanks. And I also have another live plant order on the way. Should be here Tuesday. So we'll have more plants for this tank and some for the 84-gallon tank. And alright, so for what's next on the itinerary is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to do some water changes, and I'm going to move some fish around while I do that, because I wanted to gradually add fish to this tank. I initially had just the one platy right here, then I added some more fish, this blue platy, some guppies, and now I'm going to add some more platies, and trying to get in some pregnant guppies. Before I add any, this is going to be a community tank. I'm trying to make it similar to how the 30-gallon was, but before I add any other community fish other than Livebearers, I wanted to give the Livebearers a chance to have some babies in here and let them grow a little bit before I add more. So yeah, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I'm about to do a water change on this 10-gallon tank, and while I do that, I'm going to move Dalmatian platies, red-tailed Dalmatian platies, and some pregnant guppies. That one right there, I think, and yeah, that one. So what I'd like to do is let them have babies in the 10-gallon, because not many are growing up in here. And while I do a water change, I have this bag of rocks, so I'm going to add more rocks to the rock pile there. And I'm going to move some Java moss from another tank. So this is my 5.5-gallon tank. I'm going to do a water change on this tank also. So I'm going to move some of this Java moss. So in that 10-gallon tank, I'm going to increase the rocks in the rock pile, and then I'll put some more Java moss to cover it, and see if I can help provide some more hiding spaces for some Livebearers that get born in that tank. I'm a lot of getting born in that tank, but a lot are getting eaten. And I think I'm also going to, well, I don't think, I know I'm going to gather up some of the cherry shrimp in here. So these, all the shrimp in here are red. So the 40 gallon, there's some red ones in there, but a lot are just kind of like wild colors. So I want to bring some more reds over, add some reds to the 40 gallon that doesn't have any fish in it yet. I'll bring some, introduce some shrimp to that, and maybe I'll bring some more to the 10 gallon as well, because the shrimp colony in there is not quite what it once was. And what else are we going to do? I'll show you what else we're going to do. And here's another 10 gallon tank. So I want to move some of these platies over to the 40 gallon. And I'm also going to move these black neon tetras into the 40 gallon that has no fish. That tank would be cycling. It was a brand new tank, but I'm going to do a fish in cycle. Actually, when I first got these black neon tetras, they were used for a fish in cycle for another 10 gallon before I moved them in here. My 8th tank at the time. But that's what the purpose they're going to serve again. And once they may be subjected to a little bit of ammonia and nitrites during the fishing cycle, but with just the 3 fish in 40 gallons, it should be pretty low, and they are a hardy type of fish. They've been through it before, so that's what we're going to do. And which fish are going to come? I believe I'm going to bring this one. That is kind of a mix between, well, a mutt, but a cool looking mutt. It's kind of like peppered, has a black wag tail jeans, and I believe it has the Dawn platy jeans. And this green one, that is a beauty. That is a mutt of some sort. It would be the offspring of the male Green Lantern platy that my friend Rich John sent me, and that's it right there. And one of these Dawn platies I'm going to bring as well. And of course, when I do these kinds of things, those are the fish I'm going to try to catch. And the possibility will be, if any other fish get caught in the net, they might just come along if they volunteer. We'll see how it goes. So, alright, I'm going to start doing some water changes and gathering fish in the process, and we'll take a look at what fish and what gets moved from tank to tank. So stand by. Alright, well, we are, of the 3 tanks I plan to do water changes on, I've done 2 of them so far, so let's just check in to see where we are. So, didn't really need to move any shrimp over here, but just gathered 4 of them from the 5.5 gallon tank, 4 red ones that we'll let in here. Well, kind of like low grade ones that are kind of faint red. And added some rocks and some good little chunk of Java moss there, so see if we can get Java moss going a little better in here. Alright. And for this 40 gallon that it does not have any fish in it yet, or shrimp, get to this point, these will be shrimp added. So I gathered 5 of those. And by the way, I did put some Malaysian trumpet snails in here. There's one right there. And this is where, when I do the water change on the 3rd tank, another 10 gallon, plan is to move the black neon tetras. And let's just move right over here. So, as I mentioned, all the fish that I planned from the 10-gallon are here. And the two that came along for the ride, this blue male guppy and this yellow cobra entler. And then just grab some shrimp from the 5.5 gallons, so there's 5 of those, 5 red ones. I think there are. There's a red one in there. Some of them are red, but a lot of them are like these, kind of like wild type looking. Have like that skunk stripe sort of on their backs. Alright, that's where we are, and now let's do the water change on this tank, and then we'll move some more fish, and then after that we'll check in, so stand by. Alright, third water change is done, and in the process got the 3 neon tetras, black neon tetras going in here, and the 3 platies I had planned. Got all 3 of those, and this time there's only 1 straggler somewhere in, yeah, that shrimp came along, that castaway. Alright, so I'm going to let them acclimate, and then we will look at them once they're released. Stand by. Okay, so all the fish and shrimp are acclimated and released. This tank, it just had some of the shrimp, so those, they've been released. I mean, those are just gonna blend in, so we won't be able to really identify those. But again, added some more rocks here, some Java moss, added a few red cherry shrimp, and removed some platies and guppies. And that's just for now. The plan is still to move these fish to those, spread them out over the 240 gallons for the most part. Yeah, alright, let's see. Let's look at the 40 gallons. Alright, so we added 3 black neon tetras in here. They're currently out of sight. And some cherry shrimp, so you can see one is right there on the mopani wood. And speaking of mopani wood, this is starting to get that white fungusy stuff, but that is a common thing for new driftwood in aquariums, and that will just go away on its own. And the black neons are behind this mopani wood. You can see one right there. And there's a cherry shrimp. Let's try to look over. So you can see them, the 3 of them together. So they're pretty scared, I guess. When they were in the bag, they were looking pretty freaked out, so they just need to get used to their new home. I think once they get over their shock from being bagged up and moved, I think they'll enjoy having all the space for themselves for the time being. Alright. And right here. So this 40 gallon is looking like a community tank. Just all Livebearers for now, platies and guppies. And that's how it's going to be until they have some babies and some of them grow. So that wasn't part of the plan, that yellow Cobra Endler, but it was a stowaway and came along for the ride. So I expect this female guppy will drop some fry within a week. Probably this one as well. And that guppy is, colors are developing. This is one that was born in the 10-gallon that I just moved these fish over from. When it was maybe a day old, I rescued it and put it in a 1-gallon tank along with the other two blonde male guppies. That's one of them. And then when they were big enough, they were among the first fish added to this tank. That platy looks awesome. The blue Mickey Mouse platy looking awesome. And this Green Lantern platy. Just get the right angles so they can see the green, and this is a really good looking fish. Alright. So yeah, looks like they're enjoying their new home, the fish in this tank. The guppies and platies adjusting without any problem. Take a look at this blue male platy. Wasn't part of the plan, but this is one that came along for the ride, so it can stay. Alright. So let's check out something else that's going on. Okay, checking in on the Pygmy Corridor fry. So, my previous video I showed that they had just hatched, and there were 7 of the 8, so now there is 8 of 8. I collected 8 eggs, about 3.5 days until they hatched, and now all 8 of them managed to get to the point of being hatched. So that's friggin' awesome. Now it'll just be a challenge of getting them to grow, to eat and grow. So I'm going to give them 2 days before I start feeding them, because they'll be able to, upon being hatched, they'll have a yolk sac to feed on until that is absorbed. Takes about 2 days as far as I know. And we'll start feeding them Hikari first bites. So, and these were eggs came from this 10-gallon aquarium. This is my guppy in their hybrid tank. Pygmy Corridor is in here. So I spotted them spawning and saw some eggs. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I had plans to try to breed corridors, and they beat me to it before I really started to try to get them to breed. Yeah, alright. So lots coming up. We have, as I mentioned, another live plant order on the way, and likely be going to, I'll be coming home with something, whether it's new fish or hardscape or something from local fish stores, and maybe some PetSmarts and Petco's. But yeah, Well, that's it for now. And remember, I'm Jeff, and I enjoy fishies. Thanks for watching.